Welcome back, everybody. It's episode 18 of Hxro Labs Live, starring RT and Nick Cote. How you doing today, Nick?
It's great.
Over there.
Great day over here.
Lovely. Yeah, lots to be excited about right now. I think with Polkadot launching and basically has gone 3x now since listing.
Yeah, OTC guys are up like 20x.
Pump Chaser is happy. That fib tagged within a few percent, as it sometimes does. When things are really hype and they're moving fast, it can be really hard to trade the market, with like sniping entries and all that stuff. However, Pump Chaser fib does work pretty well when the market's hot. Key part of that. So we'll bring that up today as usual. Trying to find ways to position ourselves in this market to be in high profit, low loss situations. Really, you should really only have 4 types of trades, and that's big winners, small winners, break evens, and small losers. So starting off with that. On top of that, there's a number of sort of narratives emerging from Polkadot, other projects saying, we're part of Polkadot or we're going to get in on Polkadot. ONT came out today with a nice tweet, actually, and talked a little bit about that. So we're going to get into that shortly as well. But first, Nick and I have got some news. Sadly, there is a monstrous hurricane headed towards Louisiana along the border of Texas. So we're going to flip over. Nick's got the news article here, how it might or might not affect oil prices through the supply shock. What do you got?
Yeah, I think the big, most of this is just fluff around the evacuation. It's affecting, like 400,000 people. They're lining sane people. There could be power outages for weeks, for months even. That's insane. But yeah, the biggest threat here is the U.S. energy industry. The shale industry down there is already pretty, bloodied and buried for the most part. But 84% of Gulf oil production and an estimated 61% natural gas production shut down. This isn't uncommon. This happens all the time around the globe with storms like this. Platforms have been evacuated. Are you going to see a reaction at the pumps? No, you're not. Like I said, this will be over, within a week, and then production will be back to where it is. And production was already tampered down due to the coronavirus and stuff. So, I don't expect much of a price reaction at the pumps. Oil, not much of a reaction to this either. Just yet, it's still early days. There's precaution. It hasn't even made landfall yet, so we'll see what the damage looks like. But again, I think price impact here is actually going to be pretty minimal. The reason being is that production was already down, and they can just turn this stuff back on pretty quick, and they'll get out there pretty quick once the conditions are safe. Generally hurricanes don't last that long. But looking at the market structure, this thing is, if you've been following our newsletter, this $40 level has been a pretty key pivot. I'll bring this back out to the daily. It's been very grinding up as demand slowly comes back into the market. I still think we're sitting around 90 million barrels per day worth of demand, which is about 10 million short of where we were pre-corona levels. They've extended their production cuts right now for, I think, when's that expiring? Pretty soon, actually. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, as long as the demand continues to trickle up, so will the oil market, unless there's a major shock with the US dollar or something. But, our target for this eventually should be, that $50 level. That was a big level, you can see here, yearly support level that broke through when coronavirus really picked up here. There's still a big lagging in the return to international air travel, which accounts for a significant portion of fuel. So yeah, that demand is still down. American Airlines, I think they just announced that they're laying off quite a few, a few thousand workers and stuff, just on the heels of doing some massive buybacks not too long ago, right? So I think there's probably going to be another round of stock buybacks. Probably the next quarter from these guys. That just seems to be the trend right now. So yeah, keeping an eye on that for sure. And we'll monitor it as it gets closer to shore. But you know how these hurricanes are. One day they're this, next day they're that. So we'll see what the intensity looks like. Yeah, it's picked up 70% in the past 24 hours. But until it makes landfall, we can survey what the damage will be. I don't think markets are going to move too much on this right now, but definitely the trajectory is up.
Yeah, I got a little family, got some family down there, so shout out to them. Hope they are going to stay safe as long as everybody else as well. And also in the news today, I believe.
Yeah, the SEC announcement. So this is something they've been talking about for a while, and that's loosening the restrictions to becoming an accredited investor. My theory on this is that they need more liquidity in the market. So, what a terrific way to do it by lowering the bar of who can enter the market. But interestingly enough, they're not the big changes here are not necessarily the capital requirements. It's the fact that you can now get in through proving, your knowledge base, having significant experience in the financial space, understanding financial products and stuff. The minimum requirements for this stuff, for family offices and corporate entities, still around $5 million. And the other big change is that now in a household, you can pool your incomes together as well. So that helps out. But yeah, this will definitely, lower the bar for people getting into the markets, unless you're in crypto, because then there's no bar. So we're expecting some more liquidity pulling in, but it's still pretty high. Like, I don't know how many people this is going to apply to, but your average guy working at McDonald's or a construction job, they definitely will not be meeting the requirements for this. So it's not like a mass infusion of lower level retail. It's still the upper.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing for me. I think you're right. There's a niche of people that were close and couldn't quite make it, and now will get in and they're happy with it, or certifications, capital aside. But as far as like average Joes, it's still quite a high bar, and you have to really be in finance to do it. But it may be a point where there's a new course that's created just for accreditation, where it's like, hey, pay this, take that, and you can be like us.
Maybe, but I don't know if they're going to open it up that wide personally. Like, it's from what I've read here, it's going to be a mixture of things. Like, there's courses and other requirements and degrees and all that stuff. So there's not. I need more clarification on what that education requirement is. It's kind of broad in this statement right now.
Yeah, and all that takes effect, I believe, in 60 days. So it's a bit of a womp womp. I mean, for some people, again, big news. Otherwise, not going to have a huge impact on the market. What is going to have an impact on the market right now is Polkadot.
Let's take a quick look at it.
Polkadot's been going wild. Let me pull it up here. I've got a share that I would like to share with the world.
I need to know.
And I'm going to put it out. Well, let's start with DOT. So a little sneak peek of KSM there because that's kind of lazy. Now, we can't say we didn't have a chance to get in. I think DOT sat here basically at listing price for about 3 days after it came out. So from like the 19th to the 22nd. All right. Let's take a look. How's the mic? All right. We're going to take a look. Make sure that my microphone is crispy. If it's not.
It's crisp. It's crisp.
Oh, crispy. All right. That's what I like to see. Okay. So we were live with DOT trading for 3 days before it really took off. And after that first impulse, you get that urge. You're like, oh, man, why the heck didn't I buy DOT? I know it's already multi-billion dollars, but people are calling it bigger than Ethereum. And so what do? Well, you get in, you drop that fib. And if you're super desperate to chase it, I mean, just chase that 382. And if you're a little more conservative, you can even wait for it to bounce off that and create new structure. We got the close here on the 4 hour. To me, that was a really good signal that we're going to see continuation. And since that point, even the conservative point, I mean, you're looking at 56. Now, if you just took it blindly off the 382, no stop. I just want to wait for a double. I know it's strong and I am ballsy. Well, you're up 65. So Polkadot's doing well. And capital attracts capital. Things get excited. People get excited. Like DeFi, right? This year, DeFi things started doing really well. And now every project is suddenly coming out using that term, finding ways to pivot to that, or at least be inclusive of that. And I'll show you a few examples. We have a brand new one today joining the party. However, before that, I think it was last week on the stream, we talked about KSM. And this thing, holy crap, it's on a whole new level this week. We've got to really zoom in. I think it was Oh my
I think,
goodness, where was it?
yeah,
Right here.
like the market became aware of this not too long ago, but I can tell you from the, trading in the OTC market, I had access to this stuff at, 50, 40 cents in the hundreds of thousands. So like the way people
Oh,
got this token was if you were a dot holder from the 2017 ICO, you could just, it's basically an airdrop. There was just a simple claim contract. You claimed your your KSM tokens, and they're stakeable too. I think earning some like ridiculous interest on that as well.
yeah, and even here you can see on KuCoin they've been trading since February. So again, not to say that nobody ever had a chance to get in at a nice cheap price. If you bought them at launch, if you were savvy in February back when things were a little quieter, that's actually pre-Corona. We were rallying there on Bitcoin just before the old Corona dump. Now that's like a nice 30x. But check this out. You can see here we just tagged the second chaos level, which is where, if you grab this consolidation from the low to the high and spit it out with a big fat 4669 or an 877, which is double. Is it? No, it's not even exactly double. It's just the second chaos number, and tagged it and tagged it. So looking really sharp here. Not as a buy anymore, sadly.
No.
But for those of you who might have been saying like, oh wait, let's get the Huobi. That's where I've got the ink on here. For anyone who was watching last week and said, you know what, I'm going to buy this pump chaser fib. I'm going to chase this thing. It's paid off really well. I mean, this harmonic painted a target for a little bit where, you get up into here, there's some consolidation. Tag this extension, there was like a big rejection there. So the initial take profit worked out well for the extended. But this thing wants the chaos. And so it kept going. Just basically tag chaos here on the 4 hour, and then it kept going. And it's looking like it wants to tag this one as well. But who knows? Like, there's no real trade here right now.
Nope.
Really just highlighting this to show, like where's your risk? Are you going to risk to here? Probably going to get stopped. I mean, it's just not a great trade right now. But we're bringing it up because it's part of a larger theme that is entering the market. And I can show you on Kalupu, which is another one. Again, had a buddy buying this stuff at 500 sats OTC right out of the Discord from the miners. This thing has done really well for him. And he told us about it at the time. This was like, I guess, it was like kind of mid-July, early August. And then even you, Nick, you messaged me one night. You're like, hey, man, sub 2K, anything there is pretty sweet. And,
Yep.
I didn't have a Q-Trade account, didn't go do it. But, I mean, sick returns already, up 700%. Again, presumably this is all to do with the launch of Polkadot. You've got KSM, you've got Kalupu. Hxro is another one. That's swap. We're going to look at that maybe a little later. But Hxro, Acropolis, another one that you can be thinking about for Polkadot. And the reason this is all important is because, this trade might have been missed. You might be looking at that. Well, what the hell do I do now? Let's have a look at ONT. It is not a tiny cap, right? So some of the ones we just looked at are a little smaller. But let's have a look at ONT because they just came out today with a tweet. Actually, I'm going to pull that tweet up because it was like the Justin Sun tweet a couple
The
weeks ago.
announcement of the announcement is being announced.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Let's pull it over here. So Ontology is building a parachain on Polkadot for DeFi services, providing a series of credit services based on a decentralized identity cross-chain communication. So basically, in one sentence, they use the word Polkadot, parachain, and DeFi, joining all the parties at
The
once.
marketing team is hard at work on that one.
Yeah. And so let's take a look at their chart, because if they are now going to be saying, well, we're Polkadot, even though it basically just said we'll be ready to make a bid on the Polkadot parachain auction slot. So like exactly what that means, I don't know. But it's bullish to me. And it is that sort of echo season right now where it's going to be what's the next DeFi play, what's the next Polkadot play. And even in lieu of some of the majors looking a little shaky, getting some chop up near the highs, I think there's going to be a lot of shiny new toys for the market to point their bulls at. And so we want to keep an eye on that. So ONT is one of them.
Yeah, I think if it breaks this little horizontal that I just drew, diagonal I just drew there, I think this thing could, rally back up to the daily, weekly level there at $3.
Yeah. Now here's the tricky thing, right? Because some bears in the house here, and they're saying, well, Bitcoin's got to go down here, ETH's got to go down to there. And so how do you take a long on something that's trading against USDT? Because generally speaking, if the majors go down, they will too.
Yep.
So do you trade it against Bitcoin, where maybe Bitcoin is going to consolidate, retrace, pull back, and some of these will just outperform it? That's possible. I think what we're seeing with things like KSM that we just looked at, I think it's even probable that some of these projects will rise above based on their market cap, based on their hype, excitement. You just got to approach it with that other higher time frame risk in mind if you are considering things like Ethereum looking bearish, as you see some of these trend indicators showing that it's rolling over. Bitcoin is still just ranging, right? And we've said for, basically since the shock handle came into the market, I've been saying, like, look, I think we're just going to head to a range. And that's actually great news for traders if they're not trying to trade this on futures, because that makes it tricky. Good luck finding a trend in there. But, it's these altcoins. And so you can see I put up a 50-50, which is half the distance in half the time. And I think that looks reasonable for ONT if it's about to join this DeFi Polkadot party. And it often doesn't look reasonable to get up to these levels, but we've talked about this on the show before, and it just happens. It doesn't happen every time. I manage risk the same as if I always treat a trade like I have no idea what the outcome is, fully accepting the risk. But I think there is a trade in here, and I will be hunting for an entry and likely some adding if we do roll over a little here in the short term. That's my 2 cents. I think ONT is the next in the Polkadot echo chamber. And I want anyone who's watching right now on the stream to offer your ideas. If you know of a Polkadot related project that has yet to go multiple X, because that's what all the ones I've found have already done. And I think that when you're trading in this market and it's so speculative and it's all just like story, what can we say? This is the story right now. And so any, turns into like any unpumped Polkadot project that's legit is going to catch a rally. That's the probability of that is very high.
And I think after the trend of like people discovering the layer 2 stuff, it's probably going to be other chains, projects on other chains capitalizing on that, and then just trying to move into the Polkadot's ecosystem, kind of what you just saw with the ontology there.
Yeah, and Cole said he banged out doubles on KSM and DOT this week, so he is loving the trend. Nicely done, Beasley.
Is that an Office reference?
No, well, his name's Cole Beasley, but yeah, is Beasley?
It's not Beasley.
I don't know.
Yes. So Jim always said the pan.
Okay, chin up, Beasley. Another one that I wanted to check in on today is the Uniswap Perp future. We brought it up on Monday as it had just launched. It did see some volatility yesterday, as did the rest of the market, and that makes sense. I dare say this thing is trying to find itself. I wouldn't call it a downtrend. I mean, we got the low. We're basically at this high, so it's going to be something to decide, but arguably just put in structure the other way. As is the case with most new things, I don't usually rush to trade them right away. I like to just see how they behave, get a deeper understanding, collect some data, blah, blah, blah.
I think this asset's going to correlate a lot with Ethereum.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea at all. Let's pull up Ethereum because I haven't even looked at it yet, and it is the granddaddy of the play right now as far as Uniswap and DeFi go. So we did just about tag my ABCD harmonic from last Friday, coming down into this level, just tapping the RLZ, bouncing up. Didn't quite get the 367 that I put out as my official fun call, because I think the idea of calling prices is a little bit childish, but I like to do it once in a while. And 367 was my little shout out. Didn't quite get my tag of the trend line, so sad face me, didn't get filled. But we are right back up against these previous lows where you're actually considering shorting, are you not?
I wouldn't be shorting at the lows, but yeah, I'm looking for more short opportunities for sure.
I am looking at 420. Not because I want to get high, but because I want to get good RR on a potential short. I think if we're ranging, that's going to be a good entry anyways. I think if we're about to have a trend reversal and just cool off for a month into Q4, that's also going to be a good entry. So I really am waiting. I often also get a little overzealous when I go looking for these kinds of plays. and it's like the first one gets washed, the second one gets washed, and then I lose flavor for it, and then the third one is the smacker. So I am going to just stick to my guns here and wait on it. I'm fairly light on my feet with positions as far as hedging, and so if we do just crap out, well, it's been fun. But as far as getting a fresh short entry, I've got to be patient here.
Patience always pays.
Yeah, we're coming up into the range EQ on Bitcoin USD. So something to keep an eye on, how it reacts to this level. Obviously, first quick rejection, which would be expected at a first touch because we're coming up for a bearish retest. This battle right here is going to resolve one way or the other, and then we're likely headed up into this VPVR point of control, which would kind of align here with a little short RLZ off just this most recent move, likely. Yeah, well, right at the top. But the one I'll be watching, again, getting a stronger entry, always looking for the best if I'm going to be putting money at risk. And that would take us up to range highs right up here. And if that fails, again, just ranging for now. Trend reversal for me doesn't really kick off until we close below 11,000.
Yeah,
which
it's
case,
definitely ranging, but it's definitely bearish. It's higher lows, lower lows constantly here. So for the last 6 days now. So until I personally see a reversal of that, let's go Team Bear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That sounds bearish. I don't like that.
can't come off as bearish.
Team Bear sounds way less fun than the team I'm playing on right now. But yeah, I think you made an interesting comment the other day, because especially in this kind of chop, one green day looks so bullish, one red day looks so bearish, and that's sort of the way it goes, right? You trade the trend, everyone, you get your money, and then you get into the chop, and it's like, oh no, oh no, oh no, and you start giving back your money until you lose all flavor for sense of direction and everything else, and then of course we get the new trend, whatever that is, continuation, reversal. So I don't know about this right now. As far as trading this, I'm mostly just focused on these alts and these polka dot plays. I think there's a lot of excitement there and a lot of exuberance where even if this does roll over, some of those are going to catch bids. If we get to range lows, I'm going to take a long. If we get to range highs, I'm going to take a short. And if I get blown out on either side, well, it's been fun. Mostly just focused on the alts, like I said.
Yeah,
but
the
interesting point you made, though, is that in this kind of market, it's okay to quote unquote flip flop once in a while, because you do get new information. As new information comes in, you need to change your tune, right? Breaking out to the highs here did look really bullish. We made new highs, looked like continuation, exuberance, but then it failed. So instantly, a few days later, it's like womp womp. And the quicker you can shift your bias through this, the less bleeding you will see in your account. I think was the point you were trying to make the other day when we spoke, right?
Yeah, like a lot of people will give shit to TA people and analysts who flip-flop their positions, but we're reading information and data from the market. If it provides us new information that contradicts our previous view, then yeah, we're going to adapt. If you don't adapt, well, you're not going to be here long.
Yeah, and I think that's important to remember. It's okay to change your bias. What you want to try to avoid is just over trading and over analyzing, and sometimes recognizing that. And that's why I say to anyone who asks me, like, what's one of the most important things to do as a trader if you want to be profitable, and I would say journal, write things down, reflect, take a look at what you are doing in the market and record it, and then reflect on it, analyze it. Because if you're not doing that, it's very hard to spot your mistakes. And one of the mistakes people will make in this space here, probably some people watching right now are thinking, oh man, I just did that. And that's just flip-flopping, whether that's, shorting down yesterday because it looked really bearish and you want to get out. And then today you're like, wow, I'm so dumb. Why did I short there? And then you get long and then you end up chopped. So be careful. And if you don't have a trade set up or a plan to trade the range, then don't trade the range.
Simple.
Yeah, wait for confirmation. That's closing below, that's closing above. And even then, as you can see here, you might get some chop. But this part of the Bitcoin price action is the most difficult to trade. Everyone loves trading the trend, right? The trend is fun. You just buy the bullish retest, buy the bullish retest, buy the bullish retest. And then if we do flip down here, you can start to sell the bounce and sell the bounce and sell the bounce until you find some levels. Speaking of levels, look at this. We came into a big smacky short target here as far as the high time frame goes on the 3-day. And that spells possible cool down again heading into Q4. So that is sort of, this is one of my more driving forces right now. I'm biased. Hey, again, if we close up here, we start taking off, volume comes in, buyers come back, I will change my tune very quickly. And I love to be wrong about being bearish, but I'm really comfortable protecting my gains, sticking around in Bitcoin, in Tether, and looking for these Polkadot plays. So I'm looking at lists like this too. Top 100 DeFi plays. Shout out to Benjamin at TRI, who put this on my radar this morning. I had one on CMC, but I much prefer the CoinGecko one because CoinGecko is dope. So this doesn't have ONT on it. I guess they're not really there yet officially, but they're now talking about DeFi. So maybe they'll join this list. And they would actually be near the top because they're already up in the 500 mil market cap. So let's go to the bottom. What is at the bottom of this? If you want that crazy upside, you got to get those stinky little market caps, but find one that's actually good because there's a lot of trash down there.
Protocol?
Which one?
Is that Reserve Protocol or is that?
Yeah, I see RSV. I believe that's their stable coin, the RSR stable coin. So naturally, it's right around $1. I keep hearing about Octus. I have heard that a number of times, kind of in the more like Uniswap shitcoin circles. Let's check it out.
I have not heard of that one.
Finding fresh ideas on stream is something I really like. Jones says KTON looks all right.
Krypton.
Oh, look at this. That does look rather consolidation-y, bullish. Let's take a look over here. I wonder if it's on Uniswap Vision. Sad face. On Polo?
Yeah, type in KTON and pop that.
Oh, AUK. Okay, yeah, let's flip over to KTON while I search for an AUK chart. See if we can find some heat today.
Well, it's an interesting chart here. You know, basic Wyckoff theory says that this is the buy zone, 150 all the way up to 160 there. What did this thing debut at? $40. Wow. Nice 5x for people who've been holding this one. I have no idea what this thing does. But yeah, from a technical TA point of view, Wyckoff theory for entries and exits, we're going to be looking at that $1.50 mark. As long as the market is above there, you know, I'm bullish on it. Looks good. If it loses, you know, this level here, and you know, maybe just does something like this. Here comes the pencil sketch. Everybody's favorite TA. All right, so it does something like this. You know, that's bullish, right? This low here confirms the support here, and that's the trigger, right? So always keep that in mind. And it's the same thing when you're doing the top, just invert this. So yeah, that's what I'd be looking for if it did come back. Otherwise, will I be tracing a breakout? No, I will not be. I am not a pleb. I will not be chasing that. But if it does come back and confirms like that, yeah, I'm interested in that. That sounds great. But overall, if you're already in, I think this looks strong, right? You know, your stop losses should probably be moved up, you know, 140 at the very minimum here. That's what I would be doing. And yeah, just ride it. Again, I have no idea from a fundamental, from a news angle, or even a project view what this thing does. But you know, look at this beautiful ascend. Like this is a textbook ascending triangle right there. Wow. So yeah, you know, that's awesome. Bullish market structure and consolidation, follow through. Where could it go in price discovery? I don't know. Let's do a measured move from the first move. 300%. Okay, I'll do double that again off the move here. I don't think it's going to do this, but this is, you know, this is the thing with these DeFi projects. You're going to have these massive gains early on, and then it's going to tamper itself out as the market cap creeps up. You know the market cap on this thing? Yeah, there's no way.
KTON, let me take a look. Arwinia Commitment Token, which Jones describes as cross-chain Polka coin, is like the most basic way he can describe it.
Cross-chain hype word, Polka hype word. I'm in.
Hell yes.
I'm in.
And that's, I mean, as silly as it sounds, that's sort of how to play
That's
the
how
board.
it is, man.
That's how you got to do it. If you're too proud to be silly and do silly things with your money, but silly underline really playing from strength. I mean, don't be too silly, but finding the narratives and chasing them. Hell yeah.
And you're buying into well, I don't want to say a bubble, but the space is definitely preparing for another bubble. But you're buying into very bullish market sentiment, high momentum, a lot of euphoria going around, especially in the DOTS community. They're up 20x right now. Some of these funds, $1 million positions, multi-million-dollar positions, tens of millions of dollars are 20x right now. So that's how much wealth has been created in this past week. It's just unfathomable.
Yeah, and on the whole, I think it's tiny, but I agree with you, given how far, how fast. I like to think of this big rally this year as a test pump to a much grander thing.
I agree with that.
The question is, how long will the valley be from now until the major bubble? Is there going to be a valley? And what is going to be the narratives to drive it down? Because there's always narratives.
I can't say what the narrative to drive this down will be. Probably some macro, something happening in the traditional markets. But with crypto, I think everything looks really good for it. And I think like the big catalyst and driver for this, it's not going to be retail to start. Like I highly doubt retail is even going to be interested until we're over 20,000 again. People like buying breakouts. That's just how it is. So it's going to be no different in Bitcoin. But what will drive this market up to those levels? Probably institutions and commercial public companies buying into Bitcoin. We've already seen that. There was that big gold company that bought into it, $250 million worth. They secured 0.1% of the supply or something. And then also there's a smaller graphics design company out of Ontario, I believe, that put 40% of their cash reserves into Bitcoin as the inflation hedge. It's interesting to see people going with Bitcoin rather than gold, right? Definitely maybe a shift to a new digital standard rather than a physical standard in a digital economy.
Yeah, and if you talk to Thomas Lee and ask him about his analysis, I think he said something like, what if 1% of the world's wealth was to transfer into digital assets, there'll be upwards of $1 million per Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's a great thing about, Bitcoin is deflationary in that sense. Why? Because so much of the supply has been lost. And there's probably, people are probably screwing up address sends every day. So yes, the supply is gradually inflating, but that curve is coming to an end. Like, it's pretty much at the top of the curve at this point, probably one more happening, and that'll do it. But yeah, I think in the near future, Bitcoin's going to become more deflationary. Eventually, it'll be more deflationary than inflationary, just because people keep making mistakes. Obviously, those mistakes will probably, decrease as UIs and UXs get better, and third-party custodians, and the biggest news that nobody's talking about, which is the federal chartered banks in the U.S. having been granted permission to custody crypto. Imagine what that's going to look like once they build out the infrastructure and service products for their clients. Like, oh my God, you're going to imagine the ability, you can already do this in Fidelity, some Fidelity accounts from what I've heard as well, but having your digital asset portfolio integrated directly into your normal bank login and stuff, and being able to transfer assets seamlessly between the two. That's going to be the game changer.
Yeah.
I'd say within 5 years. Conservatively, I think it's going to actually be much quicker than that. But
let's switch over to my screen. We've got be remiss to try and mispronounce his name here, but I've been following him on Twitter, and he's been dropping. Well, apparently, actually, I haven't been, but I've been seeing his stuff on Twitter. And right now, I want to talk to you about this tweet. I pushed a retweet yesterday, basically saying that ETH and Atom and ETH and Sol will be the key ratios to watch over the next 12 months. What do you think of that?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I was looking at an ETH first chart.
Oh, basically, yeah. Okay, looks like Lanus wants to look at ETH first, so we will pull that up. Ethereum versus DOT, Ethereum versus Atom, and Ethereum versus Sol.
So yeah, basically what he's saying here is, are these the quote-unquote Ethereum killers? How much network value are these networks going to take from Ethereum in terms of market share? Market share, network value, I equate it to the same thing. I agree with this. I think DOTS is headed to top 3.
Yeah, and so as you can see, and I really like that as sort of a macro. So we're going to set up a chart here, actually right in TradingView. Let's just pull this up live
I
because
can get that set up on Masari as well.
yeah, well, I mean, there's a little intro here, or what do you call it, tutorial. We could just show how you might do this. Let's say the ETH. What do we call it? We're going to call it the ETH killer matrix.
The ETH killer index.
Yeah, so I'll do this here. I've got our little
full TR. I don't necessarily believe that this is going to be an ETH killer or anything. I just think it's going to be taking market share.
Yeah, and that's yeah, ETH. Okay, ETH killer is a little bit hyperbole then, but ETH killer matrix. Just for fun, I love Ethereum, so I'm not really in a rush to say anything about that. But let's pull this up because you can actually get these. Let's say we'll stack them, and let's undo that because first I'm going to remove this. So the nice thing with TradingView is you can actually get multiple charts up on the screen at once. I think there's certain elements to like account status that gives you access to that.
You probably need some pro subscription.
Yeah, I think at premium you can do it. Oh my goodness. So let's flip over to your chart. Maybe you could take a look at ETHverse for us. I'm going to set up this matrix because I really like that guy's idea and I do want to watch it for 12 months.
Yeah, ETHverse, this is like a metaverse play, similar to like Decentraland, ENJ, and there's a few other ones there. Just launched.
Yeah, and you're actually on the advisory board for that.
Yeah, my thesis on this is connectivity. NFTs are going to have their day in the sun. A lot of people are starting to talk about that, getting out there a lot more on podcasts, and a lot more people are writing about it. I think it's just a matter of time. I think the tech's been lagging behind, but with smart contracts now, I think it's just about there. But as long as this thing continues to hold that 50 cents, looks good. Otherwise, resistance up there at 95 to that dollar mark. But yeah, not really day trading us too much. Just keeping an eye on it right now and helping move things forward there on the back end.
Yeah, I really like. I mean, you can see you don't really use fibs. I was gonna call you out earlier. Say, come on, Nick, why don't you use the fibs? The fibs love you so much. You don't even play with them.
No, I actually fibs were one of my first indicators I did look at, and then I just at the end of the day I just looked more into Wyckoff stuff and just went back to support and resistance.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, the fib is almost just predicting where the resistance and support will be. Fib extensions, fib retracements, and I mean, I don't even see a fib on your chart there, but I can already tell you that thing is parked in the RLZ. So I'm kind of excited about that one. Obviously, I have a bag already, but I've got a buy zone carved out around 65 cents, I think.
Yeah,
and I would like to add because I think it's like 6 mil market cap.
Yep.
So let's
on the gem list.
Yeah. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. And right now I'm pulling up.
While you do that, I guess I can quickly look at a chart we've been keeping an eye on. I know you tweeted about it the other day. It's SXP Perp. This has been a strong one. As long as it holds above this, 2.5 level, I think this looks pretty good for a move back up to that 3.5. It's already broken its diagonal. Some confirmation of momentum returning to this market would be a close above the former high there at 3.13. So, you may as well just set an alarm there. Just like so. Boom. And there you go. So, yeah, this looks pretty good on the 4 hour. There's no, bear divs or anything. Daily kind of, still, it's not as exciting on the daily right now, but, there's still another 6 hours till close. So we'll keep an eye on that. Other than that, bullish engulfing on the 6 hour. Yeah, basically, if you're not already long from this little bottom down here, I'd probably wait for one of these highs to get taken out to confirm the momentum. Otherwise, you're pretty close to that first target there, around 2.95.
Oh, is that SXP you've got there?
Yeah.
Hell yes. Yeah, took a long on that the other day after that 4 hour confirmation. And looks good. I won't say much more than that other than that it looks good. And that's actually one that I missed as well. I think I talked about that on stream before. Like, did not get in on that at its initial launch, even after the Binance listing and acquisition. It is what it is. But now it's been consolidating. Actually, I'll just pull it up. over here is I've got the chart that I'm talking about. Generally don't put long, short, put my setups right on the screen there, but let's see on the 4 hours what I initially took the long on. So it came out, rallied, said here I need to cool off. It had a bearish divergence. It made kind of a weak ass next follow-up high. Sure enough, came down and consolidated. Same thing here, and it's just beautiful fib extension play here right into the fib extension area, and now has cooled off, crossed over this downtrend line, put in bullish structure here, and was even kind enough to come down and fill the more conservative traders who just want to wait for that confirmation and then still go for the slower, stinkier bid right here off sort of a double sweet spot on 2 RLZs. And then today, some nice buy volumes creeping in. So I do like the look of the SXP chart. And I think, even though it looks crazy right now, these targets often do, I think the continuation is going to be right up here, which is basically a 2x from here. So I might even have a chance to stash. Oh, it's well over 2x. Yeah, 2x is like basically the highs, which is kind of sick. So I might get an opportunity to stash some long-term for free, because if it can 2x, then I can take half my position back at that level, and that's my free ride, right? So put in 500, turns into 1,000, take my 500 back. Now I've just got that free 500 parked there. That's the little old lady play. Shout out to Brian Beamish, the man, sharing that alpha with me over the years. And so, yeah, looks good, and probably right up into these chaos extension levels if it can break. The next thing I really need to see here is this confirmation. This is like the real market structure confirmation. So if we can get above that, and the sick thing is, even then you'll probably be able to take wherever that breakout is and snipe like a pump chaser off that, or even better. So don't think it's going to go like up into these areas today, but check it out in September, guys. Check it out in October. I like slept. Yeah, I actually forgot what month comes after September for a sec. But check it out, into Q4. I think this thing has more written all over it. And if we pull it up real quick, we can see it's still not even $500 million, which seems really high. But, I think Binance has what it needs to push this thing to one of the primary crypto cards. And so 189. And let's compare that. What is it? CRO, I believe, is like the crypto.com.
That's a great play for them, considering the majority of their business model is all retail based.
$3.3 billion is one of the other big crypto cards, I guess the biggest. So SXP, yeah, I mean, they did buy crypto.com. I remember that. That was a big bullish thing for them to do back in the day. And we're sitting down here at a puny little 200 mil. So is there a double in there for me? Yeah, probably.
The crypto.com project was so stealth. I remember first seeing it, just with the name was what drew me to it. This thing was like, sub 200 on the list, and just gradually climbed and climbed and climbed. And finally look at it, it's already too far to get into it. I remember early on, like the idea of spending your crypto has been, dream that you chase. And there's been many iterations of cards trying to do it, but a lot of the time you get stuck, especially in the US, because the regulations you have to do, state by state rather than national.
Yeah. I'm still not convinced. I mean, I don't think we're at a point where people really want to spend their crypto. I know some do for sure, but I still think the primary vehicle for crypto is investment speculation.
Definitely.
I certainly don't want to like start going and buying coffee with my Ethereum when it's only, whatever, $300-400. Like, but it does, it stands to reason. Like I'm in a place with a fairly stable currency. I think a lot of people around the world would enjoy having the opportunity to have their own sort of sovereign currency to spend at, international locations. So I think it's a great idea. And I think it's obvious next iteration for crypto to be used as a currency, but for now, still leaning towards investment. Now, PRQ is one that I want to say Patrick Laine. He's a hockey player out in Winnipeg. Finnish guy, pretty G. So I want to just call you Laine. But he said Parsec did a 5x. That's PRQ. Always forget Uniswap doesn't really have good charts. Let's just check it out on Polo.
I wonder if version 3 Uniswap will have a little bit better on that.
Yeah, they must. I mean, it's, DexT's coming out. It's got some really nice features to add on to Uniswap, and there's going to be a bunch of that. I mean, at some point, I imagine Uniswap and things like it. There's a whole bunch now, right? We got, I think, Falcon Swap. It's a big hyped one that's coming out even tomorrow or today. What's another one? Mooniswap. We kind of touched on them.
Is probably the biggest one.
Yeah, we
Uniswap.
touched on them at the end of last stream. Okay, so this is Bitcoin. Why am I sizing up Bitcoin? I got all distracted here. PRQ, baby. Let's do it. 47%. Yeah. Wow, something went wrong. Welcome to Polo. I haven't traded on this site in 3 years. Ever since they took 3 weeks to KYC me in 2017, I never went back. Now, let's see. That's a 30-minute chart. Yeah, I mean, PRQ looks really bullish. What does it do? I don't know. It goes up. Okay, good enough. Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling a little bit of information overload lately with all the Uniswap listings. It's like we said, it's kind of hard to even read up on all these websites, white papers, whatever you want. Most of them don't even have white papers. Welcome to 2020. But yeah, let's say PRQ looks very bullish. It just completed a bullish retest. This looks a little concerning. Yeah, I don't really have. I mean, a quick MACD. Let's just get a quick MACD study. It looks a bit like it crapped out here with a double top. But again, I'm like the quickest and dirtiest attempt at TA on this, and I can't even find my tools. I keep going to look for them. So maybe if we open it up, nope. Worst TradingView integration ever. Can't get my tools, so it's really hard to work with. I bet I pause and take a deep breath, I'll remember the Poloniex is actually on TradingView. So here we go. Yeah, I mean, this thing came out flying. And if anyone was getting on that initial early hype train and even waited for that breakout, they are looking at a pretty 3x, 2.5x. So buyer beware. You are buying someone's multiple. And I would do some due diligence on this one because it's new. Anyone has any requests, drop them in there for today. We're going to go speed round to wrap it up, similar like we did. Got about 12 minutes left in the stream today.
Quickly, I think we should take a quick look at the S&P as the NASDAQ is actually just reversed right now.
Oh, let's take a look.
Close here.
That's the nice thing about our new time, actually, as well, is we get some live action on those instead of going in after the market close.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, so S&P, like we said, as long as it held this support range, or sorry, former all-time highs as support, 3,400, this thing was going to run. Sure enough, here we are, another 100 points higher almost on the day. At this point, if this momentum is going to continue, 3,450 is what we're looking for on support. Again, I think S&P, the dips are probably going to be continued to be purchased up as long as we continue to see these SR flips in the market right now. So this looks really strong right now. I think this is going to continue as long as we hold this 3,450. Otherwise, yeah, I think we'll head back down here. A lot of people don't like the triggers. If this happens, then it'll head down there. But that's how trading works, right? You're not going to take a position before you get confirmation, especially when you're trying to fade something like this, the greatest recovery in the history of recoveries in the United States. I think something from 2008, the recovery took like 5 years, 5.5 years. This time they did it in 5 months.
Yeah, I read an interesting article to the extent basically saying they don't expect any real downside until some new catalyst comes along, and even a wave 2 coronavirus likely isn't enough.
I agree. At this point, it's a known factor. People know what to expect. There's no more unknowns in the market, and the algorithms would not make the same mistake either. They have learned.
Yeah, what do you think of Tesla? We've got guy over here in TradingView, Alawi. I feel like I'm doing
2100.
attendance in my old class. I always mess up names, so I apologize. But he's asking about shorting Tesla now. What do you think?
I think that's super dangerous.
Yeah, you know me. It's like Link last week. We talked about, why find the most bullish thing in the world and try to short it. There's a lot of trash that's rallying. Like short the trash. That's my quick and dirty. But let's take a look at the chart.
The chart is just straight vertical. Like the best retest, like this thing was really respecting the Wyckoff theory really early on, especially down here. Look at that retest, right off that 380, and then there she fucking goes, right?
Yeah, that was the March 13th, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and that was the catalyst for all of this. Where can you buy into this, right? It's pretty tough. Like there's no clear levels because this has moved up so fast, so it's very tough for an analyst to figure out, where is the solid support. This is a weekly chart. So this is probably the best. You could, $1,300, $1,400. The question then, is this resistance going to turn to support? Maybe. It hasn't even been tested. That's how strong the momentum is in this market, and that's why you do not want to be fading the really strong momentums in the stock market right now. It's too risky. Are we going to see another wave of quantitative easing? Yeah, probably. Right, and they've already, the Fed has already moved into buying corporate bonds. Right, they're literally just buying. And why did these companies even need to have the Fed participating? I have no clue. Apple's sitting on $240 billion in cash. The reason why they're going to participate in the lending markets is because cash is so cheap. I think Google just took out $10 billion in financing, and they're paying 0.25 or probably even less on that. It's basically free money when you have as much collateral as Google does and Apple and stuff. So they're definitely, this is a symptom of the big get bigger, because these guys have access to cheap capital, so they can just take that capital, rapidly expand infrastructure, more, expands their services business, especially with Amazon, just building out more and more cloud storage and all that good stuff. So yeah, short at your own risk. I just don't see any signs of weakness right now. The daily's just made new highs. Daily level at 1920. I think you'd just be playing with fire at this point. The trend is so strong.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And okay, so we've got a request for OMG, ZZZ, AION, Cote, and Ren, and I think that'll take us right to the end. So I'm going to start off with ZZZ. If you want to pull up Cote, it's got your kind of trading written all over it. It's got a lot of COTI. It's got a lot of nice levels, retest going on. I just took a quick peek at it while you're talking. Now, ZZZ or ZZZ, depending on where you're from. Looks like the party's over on this one for now. I wouldn't rush to buy this dagger personally, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to draw my fib first. So we are back into the RLZ. And that's a good sign. So, it's better to buy here than if you were chasing the top. But next question, is there any sign of buyers stepping in to support your bid? Is there any sign of momentum slowing down to support your bid? And let's pull that up because I haven't looked yet. I'm guessing no, because it looks fairly high velocity on the downtrend. And yeah, so there's no divergence yet on the MACD. I'm not sure how easily you guys can see that. This is actually such a new coin. It's only on ChartX Pro that I can find. So unfortunately, I don't get my funky colors and all my tools.
I think that's another liquidity mining coin or something like that. I spotted that thing. Remember, I told you there, $150.
I know, that's why I didn't want to ask you to chart this one. I know it's a pain point for you.
Yeah.
Nick pointed this one out when it was down around here, and yeah, it took off.
Launch.
It really did take off. But look, I look very quickly, and I notice things like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which on my very, very limited Elliott waves knowledge is sort of a cycle. And that worked for me actually in 2017. Even I was looking at these things, and you could kind of spot the tops of moves on that third weaker push up, and then you get that A, B, C correction, and that's enough Elliott waves for me. I haven't dove any further into it. So that's the first thing I noticed. Obviously, accelerated down move, no signs of bullish divergence. So if I was looking to buy this, I would have to wait for that bullish divergence, for some bullish market structure, right? Maybe coming in here, like we've talked about, right? Putting in that bottom, So for now, that's my thoughts on ZZZ. ZZZ sounds like a sleepy coin. Right now, it is going to continue sleeping for the foreseeable future. That's my 2 cents. That's my guess. 2 sats. What are we even here? What are we? Some kind of crypto show? No. Why don't we flip over to what you got? I feel like you're cooking up a storm over there.
Yeah, I got the Cote stuff ready to go, and you're right. Some beautiful Wyckoff retests here, and if you spotted this stuff down here, look at that.
I have a confession to make. I bought some in May.
Oh,
and I took profit on it in May.
Okay, that's unfortunate.
It was. It was. I mean, hey, it's a trade. I made some money, but oops.
Yeah, that's definitely the difference between day trading and just hodling, I guess. Anyways, this thing, perfect price reactions off these levels. Again, Wyckoff theory for entries and exits. Boom, retest. There she goes. Same thing here, right? We've come back down, had a nice breakout trade. This is why, again, we don't recommend trading breakouts. We like the retests because now you've confirmed a base. You know where that stop loss is going. It's going right under here, right? Isn't it? Just below 525. And, this is, at this point with price discovery, I'm usually just doing measured moves. So very similar philosophy here. Right now, you got us, we're about 7% away from the highs. Am I going to be getting long right here? Most certainly not. I will not be getting long for that 7% trade. What I would be looking for, though, is an expansion trade. And just taking, measuring this move in this little range here, we got a 37% range. It's pretty wide. So, if we break this high here, I'm going to be expecting a similar measured move, another 37%, targeting around that 997,000 sat range. So, keeping an eye on this, probably set up an alarm there at, 733 or something, just like that. Great thing about Tradingview Pro, you get unlimited alarms.
Premium.
Mobile premium.
I had Pro and I got 10 or something, and then I used those up in about 18 seconds. The premium is unlimited or 200 or something like that. Yeah. So I might.
Yeah, if you're day trading a lot of markets, highly recommend it just for that feature alone.
That's actually it's the main reason I bought it was VPVR and alerts, and it hasn't let me down yet. I mean, the thing about trading is how do you price a tool that will give you an edge in a market where your upside, obviously downside is limited to your entire bankroll. Your upside is fairly infinite, right? So if I pay $500 for something, and I'm not like shilling their pricing here. I don't know what it is, but just say like I've bought tools like indicators and stuff that are like, they cost $200 a lifetime. And I'm like, okay, so one good trade and then it's paid for free.
For me, getting a notification to my phone about a pending market move where I think there's going to be a 35 or 40% move, that pays for itself to me. I don't pay for a lot of things.
I'd like to say the same. I actually do. I'm fairly willing to pay for something I think will give me an edge. And I did a lot of exploring in that sense in 2017, 2018. I definitely did buy some subs to some paid groups. And I'll be honest, one or two of them I did okay with, but generally speaking, I don't like copy trading. And then I just turned around. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to learn how to trade. And so shout out to TRI because that's where I learned to do that. And it was, it's where you get all this. So let's flip over here and I'll show you how to slap down a Gann square. Actually, I won't because it takes a while, but I will simply show you how to read one. Okay, very briefly. This is my big wild AION chart. You may have seen it before. It's been on the show a few weeks ago, and I've just been tracking AION like a hawk down into this big dump into the beginning of August. Wasn't too pretty, but there were signs of life. And frankly, I'm super, super bullish on AION into the end of the year with the end of their TRS distribution coming in November. I believe that is going to be the equivalent to an 8th inning of their inflation model, which is being called. So I'm really keen to have a bag of this. I have a free old bag, and I'm adding and trying to find new entries into the end of the year. Now, this bullish market structure is the latest thing that sort of put my eyes on it. Came right up into this Gann angle, which you would never see if you didn't have the Gann on, but sure enough, there it was. Now, what does that retrace look like? We're really parked in the pump chaser zone. So that's a good start. It means, buying here wouldn't be as bad as buying like a big fat green candle. Training myself to buy on pullbacks and on retraces rather than on breakouts and on pumps. That takes time. I've figured it out. And if you haven't yet, I highly recommend you start thinking about that kind of stuff because it's very easy to get caught chasing. Very hard to train yourself to buy things when everyone else is getting worried and selling into these RLCs. But look at this. We are in the pump chaser zone, kind of a bullish retest right at the VPVR POC, although that changes, I guess, based on the range. Let's pull it out a bit. Let's get a slightly more accurate range. Yeah, I mean, it's just bullish. The only thing I don't like about this chart, except for that I like it because it's keeping it low right now, is this like huge resistance up here around 1200 sats. I don't really know the significance of that level back here. Maybe we can go way back and there's some old. Yeah, see, I mean, this level's been haunting this price chart for quite a while. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for whatever reason, somebody's really hard on selling at 1300. I think
what that tells me is that with that many taps, if that resistance were to go, she'll rock it.
Yeah, I mean, and she already did early here. I mean, huge influx of buy volume. It's actually kind of hard to see here, but look out at the weekly.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a bottom coming in and that kind of marking it. I mean, to me, that was like, okay, it's go time. After watching it for about 2 years, just die 99.6% down. So yeah, really bullish on AION. I think my 2 cents, if I had to say, well, I was saying that a lot today, 2 cents. My guess, like Nick said, is through the end of the year with that reduction in inflation, with that catalyst. And I mean, look, it's almost September. So that the discussion of that could come into the market. There's the discussion of AION being DeFi is almost certainly going to show up at some point. So I think anything under this 1200 is probably going to age okay from an investment sort of speculative play. Looking to get a double out of it would be that kind of a move where you're saying, oh, well, I just want a free position for a little while. Well, it's not going to be as easy to grab. Let's see what the extension, I bet. Okay, first of all, let's get rid of this for a sec. Second of all, let's put on the extension. So if we were to extend off this first impulse up, let's see what kind of targets we would have. Yeah, the 1618 is up here, previous SR level. So yeah, actually, yeah. Yep. Yeah, I see it and I like it. Big fan of AION. So full disclosure, have a bag. But relatively old, small free bag that I don't track anymore. I would like to. I'm staking it actually. I think I made like 500 AION this year just from putting it on their stake network. So there you go. This thing used to be a $14 coin. So take that. It's like friggin' 7 cents now, 12 cents, 13 cents. Can we get to $1 someday? Yeah, maybe. We'll see. But it's a heavy coin right now. We got to get that inflation out of here in November. We'll come flying back in here to see what happens. But my guess is there's a double in here for patient people.
Great.
What do you got?
I think I'll finish up today on my segment with Ren. I love Ren. We were saying that I could totally hold this 3350 level. This was a descending triangle a little bit. It's broken up today. It's come right into the resistance. Can't recommend a buy here or anything. But if it does clear this resistance here and turns it to support, I am more than confident that this thing will be headed to new highs, and I will make the case for that in a second. But first, let's draw the squiggly. What I'll be looking for. So you can see right here. This is the resistance block that we need to clear. A lot of action going on there. If you're long on this thing, yeah, your stop losses are probably below this level here, and first target would be down here. Ideally, this is the real buy zone, but it's bullish. So let's take a look at it. If we clear this here, pick up again, clear that support there. This low will be confirmed by this here. This would be your trigger. Your stop loss, would be probably right below there, and we'd be looking for a sweep of these highs at the very minimum, and then off to some more price discovery. So that's just the technical view of it. Very straightforward play here of what we do. The breakout above resistance, the retest of the resistance, confirm the support, and off she goes. Probability says continuation. Quickly looking at the usage. BTC on Ethereum continues to surge. It's up another 2,000 BTC has been moved over to the Ethereum chain to capture those yields. And REN BTC quickly nearing 10,000 BTC put through their smart contracts right now. It's over $112 million in volume. And this is still pretty early in the trend, right? Like this really just started taking off in the last 12 days. So, I think this is.
When did Ren pivot? I remember them being like a dark pool, something.
Well, I'm not sure on like the exact pivot, but I know this was always part of their plan. Took a while to deploy the smart contracts and gain some traction as well. It's been here for a while, right? But this curve just really, I don't know if it's a curve as much as a hockey stick, but yeah, it's followed the DeFi trend. But yeah, this thing, they're one of the most active dev teams out there. They've been crushing. They have all the good partnerships, fantastic team. And glad to see that their hard work is finally getting paid off. And
they've been a power sort of quiet project. A lot of different groups I'm in, guys I respect, have been very excited about Ren for quite a while.
Yeah.
And they're not even selling right now. So they're holding. They pivoted to trustless wrapping, Messi said. So definitely
smart move. They saw that trend.
I missed that pivot, man. I had them back in 2017. I had a master node of them, and it was like over 1,000 sats, and I sold it through the bear just over like 1,100 sats, feeling like a champ as it trickled down to whatever it was, like 400, and didn't buy back.
It's a perfect example of why companies should be paying attention to trends and what consumers want at the time and stuff. Because even if the dark pool stuff didn't catch traction, it's something that they can revisit at a later time. Maybe it does in the future. Who knows? But the point is that they had the high IQ to recognize this. The trend of DeFi and the synthetics were heating up. Like again, this stuff has been it's been here for a while. Nobody was interested because what use case would there possibly be? There was nothing to farm yield. Like there was no real incentive for it to happen, and now we have that. So yeah, I think this is just going to continue. I've been following this since there was under 10,000 BTC, and super bullish on Ren for all these reasons. The chart looks great. There's just if it does dip, it's a blessing in disguise. Buy that dip. Otherwise, wait for this resistance to get cleared. Look for the double support, and off she goes to more price discovery.
All right. Well, we have just had a flood of individuals join us here, so we're going to do a quick recap. But before we do that, CRV and OMG have got to hit the radar because we did. Yes, Alawi, sorry, bud, you did miss it. You'll have to go back and check it out. We did talk about Tesla. The TLDR was probably don't rush to short it.
Yeah.
But that was covered, and Nick did a really nice chart write-up and explained that in a bit more detail. So you can watch back on TradingView after. Now, here's CRV. It's a yield coin, as far as I know. I will not speak to it too deeply because it's not something I know a lot about. I will tell you this, though. As a TA guy, I really like what it's done here after its listing on Binance. Sell off, kind of what you'd expect, and it's just woken up on volume. Let's dive into this thing because I might have to go jump on the hype train with a safe pump chaser entry. Let's see if we can find one. So I'll actually, because I think I can, I'm going to go to the 4 hour. Yeah, there's just enough data here for a nice little 4 hour, slightly stronger signal. I will look to see the low. I will look to see the higher low. So that means we've stopped making lower lows. That's not enough though. We got to make a higher high. Did we do that? Yes. There was our previous candle body close high, and then we broke that. So we are in a trend reversal on the 4 hour. Let's see if I can get long on the pump chaser fib. We're actually coming in real close to it. So this is an area. I mean, yeah, I see this VPVR gap, and I'd love to say, okay, well, that means this thing might even want to visit the RLZ. Give me an even juicier entry down closer to $3. That would actually align with sort of a retest of the breakout level as well. So that might actually be your snipiest entry if I'm looking at $3. And what that says, I know this is the one that had like the insane diluted cap that was up there, like something ridiculous. I forget what it was. So who knows? Is this going to have insane inflation and these are just pops like this one here, and then we're going to keep bleeding out? Not too sure. But there is a trade in here for someone who's super keen on getting their hands on the Honda CRV token. I think I would probably skip the pump chaser because, frankly, this is not a pump. I mean, yes, nice volume coming in. But, when I'm talking about pumps, I'm talking about things that are just like bleeding face, won't stop for anybody, kind of like Ren and Link and some of these other bigger names. So I'm not ready to call that one a pump yet. I think it could get a little RLZ Wyckoff check. And on that note, I think OMG
I do have a chart open.
is work. Oh, okay, yeah. Flip over to Nick here. He's got a chart open on OMG. You are up, sir.
Okay, yeah. So obviously, huge news with Tether migrating over to the OMG to lessen the load on the Ethereum bloat chain over there. Huge move off this. This is, look at that volume. This is 2017 type volume that we're seeing right now, right? Obviously, this point is down massively. If you've held this, you're still pretty depressed. But, green candle, motivating. What are we going to be looking for here? Well, I'm definitely not chasing it up here. So, going same Wyckoff, entry and exit. Nothing special here, guys. There's a lot of information to go look in on this. We'll do it up. I don't know if it's going to get down here. You can already see this, former levels trying to support it as well. But what I would be looking for, whomp, whomp, and back up she goes. Again, confirmation comes off that retest. Sometimes it doesn't. It's not going to be an equal low. Ideally, it's a higher low, right? So maybe
usually it's actually the RLZ of that first move.
Yeah.
Right. If you take that fib and you draw it off that little first middle of the W there, that second low is 702.
Yeah, where am I going to be targeting? Well, obviously right here, like the cliff. This is it tried the reverse, failed, rejection, downtrend. Right here is where I would be expecting OMG to end up. When? I don't know, but at some point in this cycle, OMG headed to $11.50, $12. If this momentum in the market can continue, could happen sooner rather than later, right? Ignore this little time thing. It means nothing. I'm just trying to illustrate a point here. But yeah, it's a very, very messy chart. But yeah, you can see here, like, look at this, right? Like, wow. Oh, that level right here is where I would be looking for some distribution to be taking place. And right now it's maybe if it was really bullish, it would be holding this level right here as support, like that. So this was a former range low before the swing up to the highs. So, rejection there kind of confirms that there is some weight on this level. Similar candle. Again, this is a weekly, right? So put some more weight on it. And we're trying to support that here. So let's quickly zoom that down to the hourly and see what that looks like. Yeah, you can already see it here, right? So we've tried to support it there, turning resistance again. So if it supports here, I think that's going to be super bullish for the market. But if it does lose these lows, yeah, I think we'll go retest the origin of this breakout down here, in which case I'd probably be a buyer considering the developments going on there. Was OMG included in the blockchain China project?
Let me take a look. I actually happen to have that right up here. It was Tezos, Neo, Nervos, EOS, Iris, and Ethereum. So sadly, no Omisigo on that particular article.
All right. Well, anyways, yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at on this. The Tether news, fantastic. Let's see how how much market share they can get on them. I haven't seen too many redemptions being moved over to OMG just yet. Majority of it's still headed out of Tron onto Ethereum, but yeah, keeping a close eye on this for sure.
Yeah, well, I got a funny comment here from Havohage. Struggling with names today. Everyone's fucking with me. Anyways, he says, ha ha ha, I will only like and hit and sub and hit the bell if you will pump my bags. Now, I can't guarantee that, sir, but I can tell you this. Maybe your bags, as in your portfolio, as in even tell you more than when to market buy everything, might even give you some hints on where to pay yourself. That's the best I can do as far as that. But I promise you this, hit the like button. There's my promise to you, sir. Smash it up, give us some love. And if we ruin your day and tell you that your bags are going down, well, let's just hope we're wrong, and then you can dislike. Now, OM has made a breakout here. Actually, a little gap up on the 4 hour, which is not uncommon on lower liquidity coins. Trading on Uniswap, you get lots of gaps, as you can see all over the place here. Don't know what to say here. There's not a lot of chart history. Let's see if we can get the 1 hour, give us a little bit of detail. You get less gaps for sure.
There you go.
I mean, it looks decent. It's just going up. It's
had the Wyckoff retest there on the hourly.
Yeah, if you know, for the sake of a target, let's see what kind of fib extension we could get. Actually, I'd probably rather use chaos for this stuff because it is pure chaos over there on you know, I'm not going to redesign this whole fib because again, it's not Tradingview, it's ChartX Pro, so I don't have my sub or my presets. But that's sort of the fib extension off the first move. Might make sense. Now, a chaos level would be much juicier. So if you want me to pump your bags, let's see what chaos would take us to.
Yeah, I'll grab next.
4669 would take us. Oh my gosh, I forgot to get rid of the other ones, but that's here. So if chaos comes into the market on OM, very zen token, makes me want to go meditate. These are the levels I see as upside objectives for this token, and a proper fib extension actually might be right here. Excuse me, a more proper one. What's that tongue twister? A proper cup of coffee from a proper copper coffee pot. There you go. WAP. First try. Okay, so bingo. There it is. So yeah, getting a little bit of confluence up in this 80 to 90 cent area. That would be a cheeky first take profit for, you know, you're probably going to see a little pause there. Pause there no matter what. And then, yeah, 4669 chaos, baby. These things have been hitting like crazy. They never look like they will. They're always so far off. But that's why I love them as a little targeting tool, because they give you levels up in the abyss. That's my 2 cents on OM.
I guess I got a Ken chart here for the 8 King. Yeah, I know we've been watching this one internally for a while here.
Yeah.
We love our Uniswaps. We love them so much.
Do have some bags.
Yeah. Producer guy, are we on air with Ken right now?
Oh, hell yeah, you are.
Okay, perfect. Here we go then. You know, Wyckoff theory wins again. What a surprise. Not to me. Resistance becomes support. It acts as the catalyst for the spring. Look at the volume. Looks good, right? We just had a breakout on the diagonal. If we can clear these horizontals, you know, we got some price discovery coming up, boys. Very tight consolidation pattern here, kind of just, you know, chopping around as Ethereum moved down 10%. It held its own, right? So, you know, do I want to buy right here? Not necessarily. You know, kind of have a little bag from down here, right? But if it does clear this level, well, I'm interested in buying a breakout in this. Why? Because these Uniswap pairs tend to have a lot of momentum and low liquidity on them. So they tend to run a little bit harder. So if you do have a bag, yes, I think it would be okay to be buying a breakout on this. I don't know what the market cap is on this. I think it's pretty low, Messi's saying. So yeah, I could expect, you know, 15, 16 bucks on this. Nice 50% move off that. It's consolidated for what? What do we have here right now? Down here, 20th. Okay, only a few days. But the point is, you know, definitely an accumulation going down, down over here. Spring, break this, $15. It's that simple. Wherever this breakout does stall out, well, what are you going to do at that point to get the ideal entry? You're going to buy the retest. It's that easy, folks. So you're going to see
it's so easy looking at it on the high time frame, man. It's hard to do in the moment. It's hard to do if you don't zoom out and you don't have a plan. So
exactly, you just nailed it. You have to have the plan ready to buy. Otherwise, your emotions will take over. You'll be like, oh my God, red candles headed to zero and green candle an hour later, right? Exactly where you wanted to buy.
Yeah. Okay, flipping quick back over to EOS. Coming in from the Tradingview side of life. I don't love... Okay, let me restart that sentence. Because I do like this level here. What what I was gonna say is I don't love how hard it rejected, and there's just no continuation. But look, this thing has been trending down forever. So if you're a fan of EOS, if you're saying I like what they've got cooking, then this buy volume coming in after this kind of trickly dead consolidation, the lack of selling at these lows is telling. I mean, yeah, there was some sell volume here, there was some sell volume here, but generally speaking, this thing was just making lower lows, and not a huge number of sellers were showing up. And that's a fairly encouraging thing, because early on, obviously in a bear, you're going to get lots more sell volume, and as it goes and as it goes and as it goes, the sellers get exhausted, they run out, they disappear, there's none left. So I think this buying, stepping in here, this breakout was a good signal. I believe I sent out a tweet to that effect. And so with this gap here on the VPVR, already sort of got tagged, as you can see with this move up right into the short RLZ, and has come back right back to the lows. So not too exciting. I mean, if you're thinking about what's hot in the market right now, trading purely on TA or like a love story with a project you have, cool. But why not go where the heat is? Why not follow that heat map? Right now, I'm focused on Polkadot plays, focused on DeFi plays, and there's a lot of new ones hitting the market that are going to probably catch some low cap echo rallies. So is EOS on this chart where I want to go? No. But if I insisted on EOS, maybe I had a bag and I said I'm going to buy it back at some point, this is a decent spot as any, because it's right at the lows. And with those lows, you can work with risk. You can size yourself a mere 13% drawdown to fairly infinite upside through a new cycle if this does in fact end up being the bottom. So those are my thoughts on EOS. I think for now, there's probably better plays out there as far as upside. And
who's
whatever.
building on EOS? Gambling games?
I don't know. I haven't heard a thing about it, right? And that doesn't mean it's never to come back. I'm sure it's going to have a big FU face rip rally at some point, because what did they raise? Like $3 trillion or something during their ICO?
$13 trillion.
Like a year-long ICO, and they were raising like a couple $1 million a day. So, yeah, I don't know. This one's going to be a pass for me personally, but the level's dope. I mean, get this nice breakout, come right back in the RLZ. Like, yeah, you can't get much better than that, purely based on location. Yeah, we talked about KLP earlier in the show, man. This thing is just ripping faces over on Qtrade. Nick pinged me around 2K sats. He's like, anything under 2K sats is a go. I'm like, sweet. I'll set up my account tomorrow.
Miners.
Yeah, it's almost like you know what's going on in the market, bro. And I didn't go make my account, even though on that Saturday my alert went off, and it's like, go make an account on Qtrade and market buy KLP, and I didn't.
Market buy for profits.
And it's what now, like, yeah, 7x. So add that to my list of sob stories. Real quick, I want to talk about swap token, because it is slowly coming back into an area where it might be relevant again. For someone like myself who's chintzy and doesn't like to buy tops. Swap token is the best performing asset out of pre-sale of the summer. I can't think of a better one. Maybe XOR, although I don't think it pre-saled this summer. This thing pre-saled at a half cent, somewhere down here, because it launched at 5x. Consolidated up to 34 cents. Consolidated, broke the highs, and it was trading up as high as like $1.50 from half a cent. So absolutely sick run. It is going to need to cool off. They just launched their first ILO on the swap platform today, and that is Chain Games. And the chart looks a little ridiculous because it's been trading for a few hours. I believe, let's get the 5-minute up here. I believe, yeah, 1 cent was the initial sale price. So it's already doing a big 500% for pre-salers. Peaked at around 10 cents earlier. So this is one I'll be watching, because it's got connections with and similar sort of, I'm sure, marketing and momentum plays, as Swap Token did, which went 300x. So shout out to Chain Games. I hope those guys, I wish them all the best with their new project. And their launch has been very successful so far. I think this is going to be sort of a natural progression of some of the new pre-sale tokens getting unlocked. We'll see where it bottoms, we'll see where it turns, and we'll see what the continuation looks like over the next few days and weeks.
Yeah, just to answer Sebastian's question, yeah, I'm an ETHV early investor, strategic advisor. I like what they're doing. I like the idea of leveraging networks that already exist to grow your own network. I think that's the shortfall from the competitors. They're siloed off, a lot of bugs, less than 1,000 daily active users. Minecraft has over 100 million daily active users. You know, essentially what they're doing is adding an economic layer to other networks. That's the angle that they're taking. This could scale out to other games. Yeah, I think there's massive opportunity there. And I think the gaming trend in cryptocurrencies is just starting to get some light, similar to who made that comment about STOs, Haboa, pointing out Polymath there. People weren't talking about it because it was too early. The tech wasn't there. It's just starting to get recognized. I do agree STOs will have their day in the sun. I just think there's more regulatory hurdles for them to get through. And that's why we're kind of seeing, a slower start out the gate for them. But, I think that, Current is something that, could possibly get listed there.
Hell yeah. Current needs a listing, fam. Let's go.
Yeah, so I agree. STOs probably will have their day in the sun, especially as the regulations become a little bit more clear on what can and can't be done. And obviously this newest stuff from the SEC, lowering the barrier for accredited investors, that's bullish for STOs as I see it. So
is this buy volume on Poly. Oh my God, look at this. Somebody is bullish on Polymath. I mean, you can't hide the volume unless you get off the OTC markets and in your, dark pools, whatever. If you're buying on an exchange, we will see you. And I don't know who you are, whale boy, but we see somebody building a large position in Polymath, anticipating the STO being perhaps I think there was a time when, DEXs were going to be the next big thing, and suddenly they are. It took 2 years longer than everyone thought. I think DeFi is obviously the narrative right now. Polkadot we've talked about today, but STOs, security tokens, tokenizing securities, for lack of a more robust way to put that. So I think that's an inevitable thing that's going to come, and I think it's going to be huge when you talk about the kind of money that is managed in places that can only trade it and regulate it in, SEC, compliant ways. And that's what that kind of thing is about. And that's going to unleash a wave of new money, not coming into crypto as much as maybe just these STOs.
Yeah, so DUSK, I can do a quick chart on that. I got one pulled up here. It's pretty obvious what this thing's doing. Cool. Yeah, so here's the resistance, similar to the theory of OMG, right? This thing, tried the support here, rejection, downtrend, right? So, and look at that. This is why I think that OMG target's going to get hit, because of exact market reactions like this. So very similar thing. It's come down here on the Wyckoff throwback. It's already made the higher high here on the current. I don't know why I pointed to the screen. You can't see that. But yeah, we've made the higher high here on the daily. It's holding this level. Where's your stops? Well, it's right probably below 600, isn't it? What we're going to be looking for at this point is, retest back up to here. Bam, 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 bam. There she goes. Now, if they continue to catch traction, look at this nice little fucking curve forming. How do these things usually end? They usually end with the hockey stick. I don't see a hockey stick on here yet. I'm waiting for the hockey stick to appear. When hockey stick? Where's the hockey stick going to take us?
It's the season of blow off tops, chaos levels. Yeah. Actually, I want to slap a chaos level onto DUSK.
So yeah, I'm going to be looking, like I said, this 2,100 sats once it breaks this level right here. And from a trade point of view, from a quickly do this, you don't you could take the risk for whoopsies. You could take the risk for the short-term trade up to resistance. It's actually not too bad. Your downside is only down to 600. But what I'm really interested in is obviously the expansion trades. That's my bread and butter here. So if I think this thing is about to rally back up here, that's what I want. I want this baby. I want the expansion. Odds are you're going to have a huge momentum behind you, and it's going to be a very safe entry. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. Probably set some alarms here. And chart looks great.
Oof. Okay, flip back to my chart here. DUSK. What can I say, man? This thing, I had a feeling when I looked at this chart, I was like, I think we know what zone this is. And it is just exiting the zone after spending a couple of days in there trying to decide if it wants to be a bull or a bear. So if you If you chase it from the bottom to the top and you get that 382.5 retrace right into the pump chaser zone, the bulls have stepped in. They said, we're not dead yet. We're not going away. Screw you, Bitcoin. You can't shake us out. And this resistance already really broken once. Didn't even put up much of a fight. I'm starting to wonder how much I even like this level. I think obviously it came from a huge pivot, so we got to give it some respect. Got a tag, got front run. But it's at that resistance now. If that breaks, this fib extension has already really been played out after that 1618 tag. So I would be inclined to drag it up here and give us our next extension. Actually, I might have to search for that down here. Oh dear. Once you get into a lot of fibs, things can get a little hairy. So I'm actually going to just draw a fresh one here. But you can see the chaos level aligns almost perfectly with my sweet spot on the short RLZ. That's a big old target right there. And I think if we break this resistance, that's exactly where the rip face is going to take us. And that's a cool 142% upwards. And that actually means I have an opportunity to get myself some free DUSK if I have what it takes to buy, hold through the double, and then have my free position when I sell half on that double. I actually don't mind that play. I might have to do... the problem is I'm already chasing it out of this pump chaser zone. So maybe I get real creative and try to grab something on the retest, or maybe I just go ape size such that I'm okay with the risk and get in on this DUSK party, because when you talk about it the way you do, Messi, it gets me all hot and bothered, sir. Yeah, Ape King makes me want to buy Ape Coin.
Ape King on hockey stick.
I think the alignment up here at 2K Sats is a bit juicy, hard to ignore. Let me get that quick extension, and then I haven't been watching the chat, but let's see what's over there. Yeah, I mean look at that. Look at that. You got your 2. You got your 2, you got your 809. I mean, this whole area is just begging for a fill.
Yep.
So that's what I'll be looking at on DUSK. Now here's the thing. This is when you plan about DUSK, okay? Because when price gets up here, if it does, and I think I would leaning more towards when, whether that's like in a few weeks or like in a year, whatever it is, when or if it gets here, how are you going to sell? Are you going to sell? Do you want to sell? Make a plan now, because when you're in the position, it is hard to think straight. And also, like you can see here, that last 618, it just tagged this level and then pulled back. And if you don't have those orders working, if you don't have that plan in place, you'll often end up selling dips. So just think about those things ahead of time. If you're saying, I want my 100X and I'm not selling anything for less, well then fuck it. Set your orders now. Set them up here, wherever that is, 100X, bing, and and then set it and forget it, walk away. And don't watch the chart, because that's going to take some time for you on DUSK. All right. What did I hear about non-fungible art on the blockchain tokens? That reminds me of NFT. Should we talk about NFT? Oh yeah, you did. You already are talking about NFTs on the chat.
Going on.
I got a question for you, Nick.
I may or may not know the answer.
This is from Alawi over on Tradingview from a few minutes ago. He asked, does the proliferation of firing in the finance sector mean anything to the Binance world? As in, could this be an indication of lowering costs and the banking evolution?
Yeah, well, I think banks are, again, we've talked about this before from the macro. Banks' primary business is lending. If there's less lending and borrowing going on, then do we need all these people? Probably not. Banks are getting wrecked on their quarterly revenues. Also, there's been a big shift to digital economies. Why do we need, more and more people are just doing stuff online? There's less need for personnel on the floor. Are those people going to move into crypto? I think we've already started to see that as far as 4 or 5 years ago. I think we're going to continue to see that. Look at all the projects that are coming out. Look at a lot of these institutions are also just shifting to cryptocurrency. So a lot of these people, they may not get fired. They may just move over to a new department. But yeah, there's definitely going to be some trimming of personnel at banks for sure. That trend, a straight move to crypto, it's a logical move. That's their skill set.
but not everybody knows about crypto. But you know, I think the majority of people in the finance, there's definitely an overlap for sure.
Okay, good to know. And I hope that helps you answer your question, Alawi. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Nick. And I'm going to do a quick plug here on our ideas section for Hxro Labs. Now, we don't really give specifics on entries and exits on our show. I think that gets dangerously close to financial advice, and it's just not really what we're about. But if you're looking for trade ideas, hit us up on TradingView. Okay, that's Hxro Labs. Follow us on there because our ideas section, if I do say so myself, has been on fire lately. I'm going to show you a couple examples today. We've got KTON that absolutely smashed our targets. It is coming into the date, which is August 28th, launch of the mainnet. It almost hit Chaos 2. So, you know, tons of juice there. I just put in a new idea this morning, which is on, I think SXP was yesterday. So SXP, as you can see here, confirmed. We talked about that earlier in the show. So that's going along. I think that one's probably going to end up around chaos. Of course, it is genius season. However, if it ever gets to a point where we're rolling over, where there's bearishness in the market, I'm not one to shy away from a bearish setup. So when it comes time to pay yourself, when it comes time to short this Ponzi, you can count on Hxro Labs to put out some ideas that go the other way as well. ONT, somebody asked earlier, when moon? I don't know, but I think soon. I've got a target up here as a Gann 50/50 loosely set around the end of November. I think them coming out today and saying, we're DeFi, we're PokeSwap, or Polkadot, could age well. You won't see any action on this chart because it is fresh, hot off the press from this morning. Let's see what Zem did. I haven't even looked at this setup since I put it out. Again, breaking resistance, flipping over to support, and did it continue? Oh yeah, it did, baby. That's chaos. That's the 618 extension. So what can I say? Our account's doing okay over here. I think it's a decent idea section. I think it's probably worth a follow if you're on TradingView. And BAT broke through this 28, which gave me the feeling that it's time to put out a long idea. And oh yeah, baby, that's a 1618. That's an ABC harmonic. So that's it. That's all. Hxro Labs on TradingView. Give us a follow. Smash up the likes on YouTube. Hit us with a sub. We appreciate you all. Thank you guys for coming by today. We've had a beautiful, long, excellent, hopefully stream for you all and a great bit of engagement, interaction with everybody. So thank you. Remember, oh, no, we got to go back. Got to go back to Cam's. Saying goodbye. So let's get back on here. I really appreciate you guys coming out today and spending your afternoon with us at our brand new time at 2 p.m. Eastern. We will be following up with the same time slot on Friday, 2 p.m. And until then, always play from a position of strength.
Patient pays.